At approximately 1050 a.m. local time, Venezuela's capital city, Caracas, was jolted awake by a wave of explosions. Journalists on the ground reported hearing at least 7 distinct blasts. Windows shook. Car alarms echoed through the streets. Moments later, low-flying aircraft roared overhead, slicing through the night sky. Then the power went out. Large areas of southern Caracas were plunged into darkness. Within minutes, reports began pouring in from across the city. Fortuna, Venezuela's largest and most important military complex, was on fire. The Generalissimo Francisco de Miranda Air Base burned. At Helurode Airport, witnesses described massive explosions and secondary fires. This was not an accident. This was not an internal disturbance. This was a coordinated military strike. Within hours, the shockwave reached Washington. Former U.S. President Donald Trump posted a message on Truth Social that immediately stunned the world. He claimed the United States had carried out a large-scale military strike against Venezuela and that President Nicolás Maduro, along with his wife, had been captured and flown out of the country. The wording was unmistakable. Not targeted, not neutralized, captured. If true, this would mark the most dramatic U.S. military action in Latin America since the 1989 invasion of Panama, and the removal of a sitting head of state by American force. But in Caracas, events did not match that claim. Shortly after the strikes, Venezuela's Defense Minister Vladimir Pedrino Lopez appeared on state television. He confirmed that military installations had been hit. He condemned the attack as the worst aggression ever committed against Venezuela. He announced nationwide military mobilization, declaring that forces were being deployed immediately. Crucially, he said these actions were being taken following Maduro's orders. Yet he made no mention of Maduro being captured. No confirmation, no denial. Then came a statement that raised even more questions. Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez announced that the government does not know the whereabouts of President Maduro or his wife Celia Flores. After a massive U.S. military strike, Venezuela could not locate its own president. As dawn approached, Caracas remained tense and uncertain. Military checkpoints spread across major roads. Armored vehicles appeared near government buildings and broadcast centers. Civilians rushed to fuel stations and grocery stores, unsure whether more strikes were coming. State media urged calm. Opposition figures urged restraint. Social media flooded with videos, some authentic, many unverified, showing burning bases, damaged runways, and aircraft silhouettes against the night sky. The city was now operating inside the fog of war, and one question dominated every conversation. Was Nicolás Maduro captured, or has Venezuela lost track of its president amid the chaos? Here is what is confirmed. Beginning shortly before 2 a.m. Caracas time, multiple strategic locations were struck. According to opposition figures and independent reporting, targets included Fortuna Military Complex, Generalissimo Francisco de Miranda Air Base, La Guaira Port, a critical maritime hub, communications antennas at Cerro El Volcán Higuerote Airport. These were not symbolic locations. They were command centers, air assets, logistics hubs, and communications infrastructure, the backbone of Venezuela's military capability. Within hours, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration issued an emergency NOTAM, banning all U.S. aircraft from operating anywhere in Venezuelan airspace due to ongoing military activity. That move signaled expectations of further instability. Venezuela's government responded by declaring a state of external commotion, effectively placing the nation under emergency rule. Defense Minister Pedrino Lopez accused the United States of military aggression across multiple states, including Caracas, Miranda, Aragua, and La Guaira. In a defiant address, he vowed resistance. "They have attacked us," he said, "but they will not subdue us." Yet even as the rhetoric escalated, the absence of Maduro remained striking. There was no presidential address, no recorded video, no proof of command continuity. In moments of crisis, visibility is power, and Maduro was nowhere to be seen. This operation did not come out of nowhere. For nearly 4 months, the United States had been escalating pressure on Venezuela under a campaign known as Operation Southern Spear. Officially, it was described as a counter-narcotics mission. In practice, it steadily evolved into something far more aggressive. In September 2025, U.S. forces struck alleged drug smuggling vessels in the Caribbean, killing at least 11 people. The administration designated Tren de Aragua and later the Cartel of the Suns, allegedly linked to Maduro, as foreign terrorist organizations. By November, escalation accelerated. The USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group and the USS Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group deployed to the southern Caribbean. Roughly 15,000 U.S. troops were positioned across the region. In December, Maduro's government itself was designated a foreign terrorist organization. U.S. naval forces began seizing sanctioned oil tankers, enforcing what analysts described as a naval quarantine. On December 24th, the CIA carried out its first known drone strike on Venezuelan territory. Then, in the early hours of January 3rd, the campaign crossed a decisive line. U.S. airstrikes hit the Venezuelan capital. Trump's claim remains explicit. Maduro and his wife were captured and removed. But Venezuelan officials admit they do not know where their president is. That contradiction leaves four possibilities. 1. Trump is telling the truth and Caracas is in shock. 2. Maduro escaped or went into hiding, losing contact with his government. 3. A negotiated exit occurred under pressure. Or 4. Disinformation from one side or the other. Trump has promised details at 11,000 a.m. Eastern. That moment may determine whether this crisis stabilizes or spirals. As the sun rose over Caracas, one thing became unmistakably clear. The explosions had ended, but the crisis had only begun. Smoke still drifted above military installations. Roads around Fort Tiuna remained sealed. Armed patrols guarded ministries, television stations, and transportation hubs. Helicopters circled overhead, not searching for enemies, but for certainty. Because hours after the strikes, Venezuela still had no confirmed proof of life, location, or command from President Nicolás Maduro. In moments like this, silence is not neutral. It is destabilizing. All attention now turns to a single moment, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That is when former U.S. President Donald Trump has promised to present details backing his explosive claim that Maduro and his wife were captured by U.S. forces and removed from the country. This is not routine political messaging. This is a moment that demands evidence. In modern conflict, force creates shock, but proof creates legitimacy. If Trump presents clear confirmation, images, video, timestamps, custody details, the geopolitical landscape of Latin America will shift instantly. If he does not, Washington faces a credibility crisis at the precise moment it chose escalation. The strikes created undeniable facts on the ground. Bases were hit, airfields burned, ports were damaged. But legitimacy does not come from explosions. It comes from verification. If Maduro appears publicly, alive, coherent, and in control, the narrative of capture collapses. Allies will question intelligence reliability. Critics will escalate legal challenges. Adversaries will exploit the moment. But if Maduro does not appear and his own government continues to admit it cannot locate him, a different danger emerges. A state without a visible head of state. That condition fractures authority faster than any bomb. Right now, 4 scenarios remain plausible. Scenario 1. Capture confirmed if Trump's claim is accurate. Venezuela has suffered a decapitation strike. That means the presidency is effectively removed. Command continuity is broken. Orders issued in Maduro's name are symbolic at best. In this scenario, the Venezuelan military faces a power vacuum. Defense Minister Vladimir Pedrino Lopez may attempt to consolidate authority, but without constitutional clarity or popular legitimacy, unity becomes fragile. History shows that when leaders vanish suddenly, militaries fracture along loyalty and survival lines. Scenario 2. Maduro in hiding. If Maduro escaped or went underground, the situation may be even more unstable. This would suggest secure communications were compromised. Command channels are unreliable. The president cannot safely appear or speak. In such conditions, regional commanders begin acting independently. Information becomes inconsistent. Rumors replace orders. The longer Maduro remains unseen, the weaker his authority becomes, regardless of whether he is alive or safe. Scenario 3. Negotiated exit. A quieter possibility exists. Some analysts speculate a negotiated removal, a deal struck under pressure to avoid mass civilian casualties. In this version, the strikes provide political cover for a controlled exit. This could explain precision targeting, limited civilian harm, absence of immediate nationwide combat. But negotiated exits are fragile. Once exposed, they can provoke backlash from loyalists who feel betrayed.